You need to leave this store right now. We don't want your kind here.
What are you talking about? I haven't done anything wrong.
Derek Mitchell sat at the Save Mart cash register, tapping his fingertips on the counter in frustration, about to make the biggest mistake of his life. The man standing before him, wearing a white knit cap, looked like just another customer trying to do his grocery shopping. What Derek didn't know was that this man had the power to change his own future and the entire policy of Save Mart. The fall rain had just stopped. When the automatic doors of downtown Seattle's busiest Save Mart slid open, Ahmed Hassan slipped quietly inside. 26-year-old Ahmed, in a gray hoodie, jeans, and his white kufi, was trying not to draw attention. He'd moved to the city 6 months earlier and preferred to tell no one what he did for a living. It was Saturday afternoon, and the store was packed with weekend shoppers. Ahmed grabbed a basket and wandered the aisles. Fresh produce, halal chicken from the international section, bread, milk. He checked his shopping list on his phone, ignoring the occasional side-eye glances from people around him. He was used to it. When he headed to checkout, he noticed the long lines. Despite the crowd, only one register was open. Behind the counter stood Derek Mitchell, early 40s, with a permanently sour look etched on his face. Derek had worked at Save Mart for 12 years and was infamous among regulars for all the wrong reasons. Ahmed began placing his items on the belt. "Good afternoon," he said with a polite smile. When Derek looked up, his eyes locked immediately on Ahmed's kufi. His expression hardened. He ignored the greeting and started scanning, deliberately slowly. Each beep was followed by a dramatic sigh, as if the task were an enormous burden. The line behind Ahmed kept growing. People started shifting impatiently. 6743, Derek finally said, his voice ice cold. Ahmed pulled out his wallet and handed over his credit card. As Derek reached for it, the card slipped and fell to the floor. Ahmed bent to pick it up, but Derek was faster. He snatched it and held it up to the light like he was examining evidence. "Is this your card?" he asked suspiciously. "Yes, of course," Ahmed replied, confusion creeping into his voice. "Doesn't look like you," Derek muttered. He compared the name on the card to Ahmed's face, as if conducting a criminal investigation. Ahmed Hassan. "Is that your real name or one of your fake IDs?" People behind Ahmed started fidgeting uncomfortably. A woman whispered to her friend. Ahmed felt his face flush, but he stayed calm. "It's my name and my card. Is there a problem?" Derek leaned back and crossed his arms. "Look, pal, I don't know what kind of operation you people are running, but I'm not processing this. Fraud's been through the roof lately, and I'm not taking the risk." "You people?" Ahmed's voice was still calm, but an edge had appeared. "What exactly do you mean by that?" "You know exactly what I mean," Derek growled. "I watch the news, I know what's going on, and when this card comes back stolen, I'm not the one getting blamed. You need to leave." The entire checkout area fell silent. Every eye was on them. Ahmed's hand shook slightly, but he took a deep breath. He'd dealt with prejudice before. Veiled comments, suspicious stares, but never this blatant. "I'm not leaving without my groceries," he said firmly. "I'm a paying customer, and there's nothing wrong with my card. Run it, you'll see." Derek's face turned red. "I don't have to do anything. This is private property, and I can refuse service. Now get out before I call security." "Please do," Ahmed said quietly. "Actually, I'd like to speak to your manager." "The manager isn't here on weekends, and I'm in charge. Last warning, take your stuff and go back where you came from." The words hung in the air like poison. An older man in line finally spoke up. "Hey, that's not right. Let the young man buy his groceries. Mind your own business, Derek snapped. Ahmed pulled out his phone. I'm recording this. You're discriminating against me because of my religion and ethnicity. That's illegal. Put that phone away. Derek lunged over the counter to grab it, but Ahmed stepped back. At that moment, the automatic doors slid open again. A woman in business attire strode in quickly. Margaret Chen, early 50s, sharp-eyed, was Save Mart's Pacific Northwest Regional Director. She'd dropped by for an unannounced visit. "What's going on here?" she asked, her voice cutting through the tension. Derek went pale. "Miss Chen, I didn't know you were coming today. It's just a customer trying to use a card I suspect is fraudulent." "Did you run the card?" "Well, no, but did the customer give you any reason, outside your personal judgment, to suspect fraud?" I was just being cautious." Margaret turned to Ahmed. "Sir, I'm so sorry for this disruption. May I see your card?" Ahmed handed it over. She glanced at it, swiped it, approved instantly, and gave it back with the receipt. "Your transaction is complete. Again, I deeply apologize for this experience." Derek tried to interrupt. "Miss Chen, with all due respect, I was just following protocol." "Protocol?" Margaret's voice was steel. "Our protocol is to treat every customer with respect and dignity. Our protocol is not racial profiling or refusing service based on appearance or religion. What you just did was discrimination, Derek, and it is immediate grounds for termination." "But I've been here 12 years, he protested. "Then you should have learned our values by now." She turned to the other customers. "I'm sorry you all had to witness this. Everyone here today gets 20% off their purchase." She looked back at Derek. "Clean out your locker. You're done." While Derek stood in shock, Margaret turned to Ahmed. "Sir, on behalf of Save Mart, I'd like to offer a formal apology. Could I speak with you privately for a moment?" Ahmed nodded, and they stepped to a quiet corner. Margaret handed her her card. "This is my direct line. To make this right, today's groceries are on us. Plus, I'd like to offer you a $500 store credit and a commitment to mandatory anti-bias training for all staff." Ahmed looked at the card, then at her. "I appreciate that, Miss Chen. But there's something you should know. I'm not just a regular customer." Margaret looked puzzled. "My name is Ahmed Hassan. I'm the founder and CEO of TechBridge Solutions. The company your company hired last month to redesign your entire point-of-sale system and roll out your new customer experience platform. I've been working directly with your CEO, Robert Patterson, for the past 6 weeks." Margaret's eyes widened. "You're that Ahmed Hassan?" He gave a small smile. "The one and only. Before we finalize our software recommendations, I wanted to experience your stores from a customer's perspective, incognito, across different locations. Thankfully, this is the first time I've encountered anything like this." "Mr. Hassan, I don't even know what to say. This is mortifying." "Don't be embarrassed, Miss Chen. You did exactly what you should have done. The truth is, what happened here happens to people every day, people who don't have a CEO they can call, who don't have the resources to push back. Your response was perfect. You chose dignity and justice over one employee's prejudice. That's the corporate culture that matters." Margaret nodded slowly. "What happened to you is unacceptable. Will this affect TechBridge's relationship with SaveMart?" Ahmed thought for a moment. "Actually, it increases my confidence in the partnership. You showed real leadership today. But I do have one request. Anything. Use this incident in your training program. Real scenarios teach better than hypotheticals. And make sure your staff knows every customer deserves respect, whether they're a CEO or someone paying with food stamps. Character isn't measured by bank accounts." Margaret extended her hand. I have my word, Mr. Hassan, and thank you for giving us the chance to do better. As Ahmed left with his groceries, several customers gave him apologetic smiles and words of support. The older man who had spoken up shook his hand firmly. That evening, Ahmed received a personal apology call from CEO Robert Patterson. The story spread through senior leadership and became a turning point in SaveMart's approach to diversity and inclusion. Derek, now unemployed, was left reflecting on how his prejudice had cost him not just a job, but his dignity. The man he judged by appearance turned out to be someone who could have ruined him. Instead, he chose grace. 3 months later, SaveMart successfully launched the new customer experience system designed by Ahmed's company. The training module now included a section on unconscious bias and treating every customer with respect, featuring the true story of what happened that Saturday afternoon. Ahmed continued shopping at SaveMart, always proudly wearing his kufi. Every employee who'd gone through the new training recognized him not as a tech CEO, but as a reminder that dignity, respect, and kindness should never depend on who someone is or what they look like. Sometimes the people we look down on are exactly the ones we needed to learn from. And sometimes identity isn't about titles or status. It's about character, integrity, and how we treat others.